Hi guys, I'm Kasia. Welcome to the channel and welcome as always to our coffee times to discuss horror movies. And today I'm here to talk to you guys about Bodies, Bodies, Bodies.
It's coffee time!
You guys know that I am always up for any new release from A24. It doesn't even matter if it's horror or not. I also watched this year Everything Everywhere All at Once, and it has been one of the best movies that I've seen this year, and it's not even horror. So I was kind of excited to go and watch Bodies, 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 but at the same time I was afraid that this one was not gonna be for me since the trailer was a little bit goofy. You could tell that it had a lot of humor in it, and humor and horror together with me don't always vibe. But what happened is I went to the movies without many expectations about the film, and I ended up having such a good time. I was really surprised. So obviously today I'm going to talk about the movie. Everything is going to be spoiler free, so let's get into it. Bodies, Bodies, Bodies is a 2022 American black comedy thriller horror film directed by Halina Regen in her English language debut. So the main target or the main audience of this film is obviously the Gen Z generation, but at the same time this movie was a satire on those characters. So I feel like the main issue with the movie is that it was kind of marketed or advertised a little bit as a teen slasher, and a lot of people are going into the movie with expectations of that. So let me tell you, this is not a slasher. This is not a slasher horror movie. So don't go into it thinking that, because I feel like that is why a lot of people were frustrated with the film in the first place. The thing is that they are using Gen Z characters and they are kind of taking them a little bit to the extreme. It is a satire, but it is done in such a good balanced way that I feel like the main audience is not going to feel like they're being made fun of or disrespected. I feel like they're going to have a lot of fun with the movie. It's basically portraying, you know, the youth nowadays and how we are not going maybe in the best direction when you think of moving into the future. When a group of 20-somethings gets stuck at a remote mansion during a hurricane, a party game gone very, very wrong ends with a dead body on the ground and fake friends at every turn as they try to find the killer among them. So our main characters are all teenagers, so except of Greg, who I will mention later. So two of our main characters are the ones that we get to know at the very beginning. They are two girls that have just started a relationship. It is a very fresh relationship and they're very much in love, and they decide to go to a friend's party. So this friend is a white, rich guy that lives in this mansion, and obviously there is nothing better to do during a hurricane and a storm than to throw a party. So we have a bunch here of friends that are all in their 20s, and then we have Greg, who is a 40-year-old boy dating one of these girls. So Greg and his girlfriend Allison were my favorites, just to let you know already. Allison I loved. Rachel Sennott as Alice was perfect. I loved her so much and I need to see more things by her. And like I was saying before, I feel like the way the characters were done, they found the perfect balance between, you know, making these characters real and also find a way to make this a satire. A lot of the characters are meant to be annoying because that's what you're meant to feel. They're meant to be annoying. So it was the case as well for me, but I was still having so much fun with the movie that it didn't bother me as much as it did other viewers. I have to say one of my favorite things about this movie was the characters and the way that they didn't hold back. They really went all out there and they really amplified the personalities of every single character to bring it to the extreme, to the point where it was really annoying at times. But I feel like that was part of the fun of the film. It was a bold choice and I was happy that they went there, and I love to see all the characters and how they reacted to everything that started to happen in this mansion. What I think that Bodies, Bodies, Bodies did really well is that they were really intelligent with the things that they decided to show and the things that they decided to conceal. So the images that you get are fed to you for a reason, and I feel like this movie did such a good job with that. This movie was a great thriller in a way because it just made you guess all the time what was actually happening, and sometimes you wanted to rewind to watch the last scene because it was really engaging as a film, and that is also part of why I enjoyed it so much. I love the visuals in this film. I gotta tell you, I really enjoyed the visuals, and I loved that they were throwing there all of these like words like gaslighting, ally, and other buzzwords, and there was a conversation more towards middle end that was just filled with these things, and it was so funny. I just couldn't stop laughing. The Gen Z generation are the people that basically grew up already in the internet, and therefore, you know, for them social media and all of that, it is basically second nature. That's all they know. So it was really interesting to see it from their perspective, since I am not part of the generation. The thing is, even though they were using all of these buzzwords and all of that, the script and the dialogues and everything is a lot more smarter than you would think at first glance. And if you stop to think about it, and probably if you rewatch this movie, you're going to see a lot more things. And I feel like this movie deserves a lot of credit because the level of balance that they achieved with not being too silly and at the same time making fun of things, it was just the perfect balance, and it is not easy. It is more a movie about, you know, fear, insecurity, and all of the things that we become as humans, the human nature, when we are put in a situation where we are in danger. When it comes to the horror, I've already mentioned that this is not a slasher, which is really important to keep in mind. However, there are obviously deaths, and I personally really loved all the horror that we get to see in this film. I really enjoyed the deaths as well, but this movie is more of a thriller kind of survive the night, whodunit scenario in which we have to guess who is the killer. Our main characters decide to play a game called Bodies, 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 which is kind of similar to a mafia game where, you know, there's a dead body and they have to figure out who killed that person. And it's supposed to be a game, but then somebody actually ends up dead, and they start to try to figure out who is the killer. So it is a really fun whodunit, and honestly, I was all the time trying to guess, obviously, who was behind it, who had motives, who could have been at that time at that place. So it is really engaging, again, with the viewer, which made this movie so much fun. And it is great to see such different characters, you know, with different genders, with a different, social status. And you get to see each character come to their own conclusions, which was also such a good thing to see and a lot of fun. Again, even though the characters were annoying, they were doing that on purpose for the movie and for the satire. And yeah, just like, it was a lot of fun, guys. One of the things that I also really enjoyed was that for some of those horror moments where they're trying to build up a little bit more of tension, where we don't know what's in the shadows, because obviously we're in a mansion with a thunderstorm, a hurricane, and they don't have any electricity. So one of the characters has some glowing sticks around her neck that, you know, helped to see in the dark. Most of the other characters are using their torch in their phones, you know, the light on their phones, to kind of see where they're going. And that brings a horror atmosphere to the whole movie, of, you know, what is in the shadows, who is behind you, is the killer gonna find you? At the end of the day, you guys, this was such a fun, dark comedy, and I would definitely rewatch this and see how the experience is a second time around. Now, if you don't like black comedy and satires, this movie is not gonna be for you. If you're expecting a slasher, this is not the movie for you. But if you just want to have a good time and you enjoy this type of humor, you're gonna love it. And specifically, I loved the reveal, the ending, everything. It just really worked for me, so I decided to give this one a 4 out of 5, which for me is a really high rating for a horror comedy. So basically A24 has been giving me so much joy this year, and I still want to see Pearl as well. It's also one of my anticipated ones for this year since I loved X so much. I really enjoyed Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. What can I say? Despite my expectations, I expected not to really love it, and then I did. So yeah, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this spoiler-free review. Let me know if you went to the movies, if you have been able to see it where you live, what you thought about it. Let's talk about it in the comments down below. Keep it spoiler free. If you put a spoiler, please, you know, put it in bold so people are aware before they go into your comment. And remember, being cancelled is bad, but being murdered is worse. Alright guys, I hope to see you all in our next video. Thank you so much for your support, and I'll see you all in our next coffee time. Bye!